Judge removes New Mexico official from office for taking part in January 6th insurrection. Migrant mass drowning in Texas spurs renewed calls for immigration reform. U.S. foresees annual COVID boosters just like flu. 12 killed in Sudan's flash floods. Indian madrasas demolished over accusation of being anti-national. Malaysia set to host International Halal Expo. From Washington, D.C., this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hena Zuberi. Our top story tonight. On Tuesday, for the first time ever, a New Mexico court ruled that the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol was an insurrection. It also ordered a county-level official in the state to step down due to his participation in the attack. Government watchdog Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics represented several New Mexico residents who sued to have Couy Griffin removed from office. They filed a lawsuit against the Otero County Commissioner earlier this year after he was charged with breaching and occupying Capitol grounds. Griffin was later convicted of the crime. The court ruled Griffin is constitutionally disqualified from serving in a public office. A document pertaining to a foreign government's nuclear capacity was reportedly among the files seized by federal agents from Donald Trump's Florida home last month. The discovery raises alarm about the former U.S. president's handling of secret material. Nuclear non-proliferation advocates say it highlights the inherent dangers of atomic weaponry. FBI agents raided Mar-a-Lago on August 8th and recovered more than 300 classified documents. They found a document describing a foreign government's military defenses, including its nuclear capabilities, the Washington Post reports. Such sensitive documents were stored in Mar-a-Lago with uncertain security for more than 18 months after Trump left the White House, the Post adds. U.S. health officials said COVID boosters will likely be recommended annually, similar to flu shots. That's barring the emergence of drastically different variants. The announcement came after the Food and Drug Administration last week authorized updated bivalent shots. These shots protect against the original strain of the coronavirus and the BA4 and BA5 lineages of the now predominant Omicron variant. President Joe Biden's chief medical advisor, Anthony Fauci, said that annual updated COVID-19 shots will be matched to currently circulating strains. The elderly and immunocompromised may require more frequent shots. White House COVID coordinator Ashish Jha said for anyone 12 or older who has previously been vaccinated, now is the time to get boosted. Advocates are urging U.S. Congress to pass immigration reforms after 9 migrants drowned while attempting to cross into Texas from Mexico via the swollen Rio Grande River last week. According to reports, 37 migrants were rescued last Thursday while trying to ford the surging river near Eagle Pass. 8 other people are missing. U.S. Customs and Border Protection spokesperson Rick Puaza said federal and local authorities continue to search for possible survivors. He added that U.S. authorities arrested 53 migrants while their Mexican counterparts apprehended 39 others. The Washington, D.C.-based advocacy group, the National Immigration Forum, tweeted this tragedy highlights the need for Congress to act and pass immigration reforms. Tawfiq Islamic Center, a South Minneapolis mosque, was burglarized over the weekend. The The Council of American Islamic Relations Minnesota chapter reports that the male suspect stole money, damaged 15 doors, and caused $50,000 worth of damages and losses. The burglary was captured by the mosque's video surveillance. CARE Minnesota Executive Director Jelani Hussein said, "It occurred just before midnight Sunday. No arrests have been made. The suspect entered the mosque through the back gym door and broke into most, if not all, of the mosque's rooms. He also broke into and stole money from multiple safes." Hussein said targeting a mosque is considered a threat to the community. He also noted that this was the fourth such vandalism of a Minnesota mosque this year. Malaysia set to host International Halal Expo. Details after the break. Let's stay tuned and we'll be right back after these messages.
A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today.
I am what hunger looks like in America.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Despite the development of a COVID-19 vaccine, millions around the world will not have access. We need a vaccine that's free and available to everyone, everywhere. It's time for a people's vaccine.
Assalamu alaikum! Open up your eyes.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, it's your brother Zain Bika from South Africa. One of the first educational programs ever produced for Muslim children was the ever popular Adam's World series. The colorful and comical Muslim puppets stole the heart of a generation. Sound Vision will be releasing brand new episodes of Adam's World with the launch of a Adam's World app. Subscribers will enjoy new Adam's World episodes as they are released, as well as all the classic episodes of Adam's World. So visit adamsworldapp.com now to learn more, subscribe, and enjoy new adventures of Adam and his friends. And let's keep helping tomorrow's Muslims today. Assalamu alaikum.
It's Adam's World. Believe me, there's a lot to see. Bismillah. Let's explore.
To stop this genocide, we need your help.
Welcome back. Malaysia is hosting more than 1,400 business meetings involving local and foreign companies to boost the country's halal industry. The 18th Malaysian International Halal Showcase will be held September 7th to the 10th at the Malaysian International Trade and Exhibition Center. It's one of the most prominent and longest-running halal trade shows in the world. The expo is expected to achieve $423 million in trade and draws local and international buyers, entrepreneurs, retailers, brands, media researchers, and industry influencers. It's organized by the Malaysian External Trade Development Corporation. Nearly 400 companies will participate through conventional and virtual exhibitions. These will feature, among other things, food, e-commerce, Islamic finance, modest fashion, Muslim-friendly tourism, and Islamic arts and culture. On Monday, Turkey again urged Greece to respect the rights of the Turkish minority in its western Thrace region and to stop denying recognition to elected Muslim clerics. The Turkish Foreign Ministry said Greece should respect the right of the Turkish minority to elect their religious leaders. The Western Thrace Turkish Minority Advisory Board stressed the same and called on all minority communities to fill mosques this Friday. This is to show solidarity and to protect the community's identity, religion, leaders, and rights. After a Greek junta came to power in 1967, the Turks of Western Thrace started to face harsher persecution and rights abuses by the Greek state. Greek authorities have shuttered Turkish schools and tried to block the Turkish community from electing its muftis. In addition to violating long-standing treaties, these policies are also often in blatant violations of European Court of Human Rights rulings. On Sunday, Sudanese authorities said the death toll from torrential rains and flash floods has reached 112 since June. The National Council for Civil Defense said 115 people were injured, over 34,000 homes collapsed, and more than 49,000 homes were partially damaged. Sudanese authorities have declared a state of emergency in 6 states hardest hit by the disaster. The United Nations said that nearly 250,000 Sudanese have been affected by the floods and heavy rains in the country since June. That's when the rainy season in Sudan starts and lasts through September, with peak rains and flooding between August and September. On Tuesday, 1 person was killed and 9 others injured in a bomb blast in southern Somalia. A remote-controlled explosive device was detonated in the city center of Barawe, a port city in the southern Lower Shabelle region. At least 6 people suffered life-threatening injuries, and the death toll is expected to rise, the city's deputy mayor said. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack. Authorities believe it was likely carried out by the Al-Shabaab extremist group, which controlled the port city for 6 years between 2008 to 2014. The blast came hours after the Somali military announced it had killed at least 14 Al-Shabaab terrorists, including an unnamed senior commander. A cemetery in the central Iraqi city of Najaf carries the fresh graves of loyalists to Shia leader Muqtada Sadr, who were killed in clashes last week in Baghdad. Nearly 24 hours of fighting erupted on August the 29th. The face-off between the Clerics supporters, rival Iran-backed factions, and the army left more than 30 Sadrists dead and 570 others wounded. Sadr supporters stormed the government headquarters in Baghdad's fortified Green Zone after their leader announced that he would resign from politics. The clashes were the deadliest in nearly 3 years. It followed months of disagreements between Sadr and the rival Shia factions. The political deadlock has left the country without a new government, prime minister, or president since elections last October. In the United Kingdom, gangs of drunken Hindu youths have been terrorizing Muslims in the city of Leicester, according to local activists. Tensions sparked in May when a 19-year-old Muslim man was attacked with bats and poles by a gang of roughly 30 Hindu youths, 5 Pillars reports. The mob also attacked a man and a woman who tried to protect the victim in their house. The 19-year-old was hospitalized. Police have yet to charge the perpetrators. On August 28th, a large group of Hindu men marched through the streets of Leicester after an India-Pakistan cricket match, chanting "Death to Pakistan." It led to clashes resulting in a Sikh man who tried to stop the chants and a police officer being assaulted. On Tuesday, local residents of the Indian state of Assam's Golpara district demolished a madrasa. The move comes a few days after a cleric associated with the madrasa was held for alleged anti-national activities. This is the 4th madrasa to be demolished in Assam in the last few weeks. The first 3 were razed to the ground by government authorities. Jamiatul Huda Madrasa was the first to be demolished on August 4th. On August 29th, government authorities razed the Jamiul Huda Academy Madrasa, and August 31st, the Markazul Ma'arif Qadrayana Madrasa was demolished. Coming up next after the break is our in-depth analysis segment, so stay tuned and we'll be right back after these messages.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
To stop this genocide, we need your help.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
I am what hunger looks like in America.
I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school. Because this may be the last time I'll have lunch. Till September.
I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs, and that's still not enough to put food on the table. I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Despite the development of a COVID-19 vaccine, millions around the world will not have access. We need a vaccine that's free and available to everyone, everywhere. It's time for a people's vaccine.
Dad! They took over my bedroom! Come on, come on! Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
We are Justice for All. Headquartered in the heart of downtown Chicago, Justice for All is a global humanitarian initiative dedicated to raising awareness for human rights concerns impacting vulnerable minority groups. Our diverse team of staff and volunteers, led by Imam Malik Mujahid, work tirelessly to help Justice for All achieve their goals. We promote policies that protect religious freedom, address the root causes of mass displacement, and recognize the plight of refugees and forced migrants. Together, we can continue to stand up for justice. Justice for all.
Welcome back. U.S. life expectancy dropped in 2021 for the second consecutive year. To discuss this in detail, let's go to Imam Abdul Malik Mujahid. Over to you, Imam Mujahid.
Thank you, Hena. Life expectancy in the United States have dropped 2 years in a row. It was 79 in 2019, and in 2021 it became 76. What's going on here? 76 is slightly worse than Iran, the largest 2-year decline in nearly a century. The drop was sharpest among the Native Americans, where life expectancy fell to 65. that is slightly lower than Afghanistan. So what is going on here? To discuss all of that with us is Professor Jim Kahn, who is a professor of health policy at the University of California at San Francisco, and an editor and blogger at Health Justice. Welcome to Muslim Network TV, Professor.
Thanks for having me on.
Tell us what is going on here.
Well, it's a really sorry state of affairs. Of course, many things are going on. The piece of it that I care most about is the terrible consequences of our very weak health insurance system. So what we've seen, for example, regarding this drop in longevity is, first of all, a big COVID effect. The COVID pandemic resulted in many deaths, well over 1 million. And about 1/4 of those deaths, now approaching 350,000 additional deaths, were due to people being uninsured. This is based on research that colleagues and I published recently. So lack of insurance in the context of COVID, when people should be seeking care and should be preventing transmission to their family members and friends and colleagues, the lack of insurance exacerbated COVID. So that's part of what's going on. Another part of what's going on is that even though more people are insured than before the Affordable Care Act, that insurance has taken on a high cost sharing element. In other words, people with insurance have high deductibles, so maybe many thousands of dollars before their insurance starts paying, plus cost sharing, plus services that aren't covered. So people have financial barriers to care, they're avoiding care, and that adds to the mortality toll as well.
So what you're saying, Professor Kahn, that pandemic itself is not to be blamed, but our health system in which people with insurance has difficulty looking for health, and you're saying 250,000 people could have been saved if our health policy was good?
Yes, for sure. If we had universal health insurance like all other wealthy countries do, then that would have reduced mortality by more than 350,000, soon up around 400,000. So that's a huge additional burden. In addition, our public health system response under the prior president was weak and inadequate. And so we didn't do enough soon enough to mitigate the overall severity of the pandemic. That's not a health insurance problem exactly. That's a commitment to public health problem. And recently, the new head of CDC announced that they were going to make major changes to how CDC, or the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, operates to improve the public health response. So both of those are very important contributions.
Professor Kahn, one of the very alarming but telling statistics came out that for Native Americans, life expectancy has gone down to 65 years. That is life expectancy of Afghanistan. Actually, their life expectancy is slightly higher than this. What in the world are we doing to Native people here?
Well, I'm not an expert on Native American health, but I think there are a couple of things. One, again, is the lack of adequate health services. It's also a function of despair. The living situation of Native Americans is really, really difficult. It's been a systematic impoverishment, both materially and spiritually, for the population that was here when white people arrived. It is a continuation, in my view, a continuation of the original genocide. That is the death of many Native Americans when we arrived. And that is continuing because we are continuing to impose a huge set of burdens on the Native American population.
Now, I also read while preparing for this conversation with you that more Americans died of COVID after the introduction of vaccine than before its invention. Why?
Well, the pandemic was on the rise. The vaccinations worked quite well and did a huge amount to stem the growth of the pandemic, but it was still growing. If you compare areas of the country with high vaccination rates versus areas with low vaccination rates, you find that the areas that adopted the vaccine with a higher coverage rate did better. A related issue is use of masks. So the public health measures, once they were rolled out, the masks and the vaccines did a lot of good. But if you know the expression, of course, the horse was already out of the barn. The problem was already there, was already growing. And the vaccines came around pretty quickly, but the other public health measures were too slow and too inconsistent to achieve optimal pandemic control.
Now, I read also that, not counting the pandemic impact, but American babies are more likely to die before they turn age 5. And American teens are more likely to die before they turn 20 as compared to the other industrialized nation. What are so unique variables which are killing us?
Well, again, part of it is impaired access to good medical care. And so we still have lots of uninsured children or children who are insured with Medicaid, which is the government program, insurance program for the poor. And it hurts me even to say those words, government insurance program for the poor, because this insurance program, which somehow or other we think is good enough for the poor, is actually not very good. A lot of people on Medicaid have trouble seeing the doctor because the payment rates from Medicaid to doctors are so low. And so it's really critically important that we adopt universal coverage where everyone has the same coverage, including the same payment rates. And that way the poor would not be put at a disadvantage by the poor management of the Medicaid program.
Do you think it has something to do with the high availability of gun and gun violence and drugs also?
Absolutely. That's a portion of it. As you and your listeners know, gun rights are growing. It used to be that we interpreted the Second Amendment of the Constitution very narrowly, but starting in 1959, the Supreme Court increasingly made gun ownership less restricted, and the number of gun deaths that we have, it contributes to this excess mortality, and it's quite unfortunate. And then, in addition, the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration, kind of dropped the ball on regulating opioids used in clinical settings and let a drug company push for opioid use, and that led to a lot of addiction. And that addiction is fueled by the despair that many people feel from the economic challenges that they have being middle class in a period of history when middle class wages and access to medical care are both dropping. So people are poorer and less well insured. They're upset. They have access to opioids. They're addicted. They overdose.
Well, thank you so much, Professor Kahn, for your time. Truly appreciate it.
Very happy to talk with you. Thank you.
Back to you, Hena.
Thank you so much, Imam Mujahid. That's all from our Washington studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can find previous episodes and more on our YouTube or Facebook. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.